welcome to What a Waste podcast. Thank you for joining us once again. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that. Leave a review. Thank you for listening, and welcome back once again.
Thank you.
That was our most professional intro. I feel like you were like shocked.
I was looking at every camera.
Yeah, you were like, I don't know.
Tyler just got back from spreading the good word.
She's been saying the whole time we were setting up that I look like a youth pastor, and I don't appreciate it.
Yep.
What do you look like now?
Well, yesterday, someone at the Laugh Factory, who I won't name, but who won a Stanley Cup, told me I look like I work for a nonprofit. Which, just say the slur that you have in your head. Okay. For me, you look like someone that is like working a booth at a street fair. Thank you.
Like you're selling some sort of thing that you made, you know?
Some sort of polymer clay earring.
Right. Okay. Then now I know that you just have a business in mind.
Well, the thing was, yesterday I had come from someone's birthday softball game, and was no, not the one you're thinking of, someone else's, and there are a lot of birthday softball games. Yeah, and so I was wearing like sweatpants and a sweatshirt and no makeup, and I was like, yeah, I look like.
Yeah.
He also intentionally said, I'm not hitting on you.
I'm not hitting on. I promise I'm not hitting on you, but you look poor. Like, what the fuck? Most people, when you insult them, would think that you are hitting on them.
Yeah. And he was like, no, I want you to make clear that I'm not negging you.
I'm just mean.
I'm just saying this at face value.
I just actually believe this.
So that's what we look like today. Yes, I do work for a nonprofit, so
yep,
it's true. How are you doing?
I'm good. I had a nice little day yesterday. Sally and I went to a street fair. That's why I pulled that reference. At the Salt Shed, which was cool.
Went to that?
Yeah, it was really fun. Like, bought some clothes, like some little knick-knacky things.
That looked fun.
It was super fun. And so just kind of like bounced around to different places yesterday, and then had a couple shows at the Lincoln Lounge. So
I love it.
I'm good. Woke up today, watched the Premier League final day, and I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm loving life. Feel amazing.
She just told me in the elevator up here that she's finally over her breakup that was 9 months ago. She's just starting to actually process it. Is that okay to say? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here to talk about the matters of the heart.
Yeah.
Because we're about to talk about matters of the heart stopping. Cemeteries.
Cemeteries. Ooh, that's a fun one.
But
I bet that you're pro.
Cemeteries?
Pro cemeteries, yeah.
No. Believe it or not.
I know.
I feel about cemeteries the way I do about golf courses.
Yeah.
But yeah, feeling amazing. I have been decorating my apartment with mostly secondhand stuff. Not on purpose, mostly because I can't afford firsthand stuff. But isn't that how life goes?
Right.
And
well, you don't need much. You already have the bed for your phone. That's
true. That's all I need.
That's a big piece of
decoration. The only thing in my apartment is my phone bed.
You're sleeping on it? You're just laying on the floor
head.
with just your head on it. And your phone is like, what the fuck, man?
It's summer in Chicago. It's beautiful. I played softball yesterday with friends. Yeah. I went to a cookout. It's Memorial Day weekend. It's beautiful. I'm biking around.
It's lovely out.
Lovely. The vibes are good.
The vibes are high.
And I love my podcast.
And it is yours. Yeah, it is beautiful. It's amazing. Love the summer. It's really hard to sell tickets in the summer, I'm finding. It really fucking is not easy to do. So if you're going to be
comedy is not good. Summer is not comedy season.
It's not good in the summer. That said, if you live in Minneapolis, please, for the love of God, buy a ticket and come to the show. or Columbus or Chicago also, July 3rd. Please come
big
to that.
Zanies before Tyler
Which we
moves.
should also start doing, by the way, is plugging more often.
Yeah.
We'll do it at the
That's an
end
idea.
more specifically.
Well,
but
yeah.
so what do we got today? What do we got today, Lucia?
Have you created a death plan yet?
No, I have not. I don't have a will. I don't have any assets. So I haven't really seen the need. But have you?
I have had a general concept that I would like my body to be thrown into the Chicago River.
Okay, just that's with no preparation. Just like, oh, she's gone.
Yeah.
Dump her.
Yeah.
That's what you want?
Let some sort of mystery be solved.
Well, there's not really any mystery. She told us to dump her in the river, and now there she goes. What mystery are you talking about? The mystery of why the fuck you would want that? Because that would take a while.
The reason I like that is it is the most sustainable thing you could do with my body.
It's not sustainable to the kids that are on kayaks in the river that see your bloated corpse floating by.
Bloated corpse is funny. Well, doing this research for this episode actually helped me get more clear on it, because I think I always used to say like, well, I'd probably want to be cremated, or turned into a tree, which is a very popular thing.
I've heard of that.
But there are different types of things that you can do, and so we're going to talk about the history of cemeteries.
Let's go.
Why they're bad for the environment, how we do it is sort of stupid, and all the options you have to plan for your end of life, which we should be doing because death is inevitable.
Yes, that's our that's all, folks. Death is inevitable. This is a comedy podcast.
Death is inevitable. Everything we do is
memento mori.
Everything we do is dancing around the fact that it's around the corner, and we need to be thinking about it more. How often do you think about death?
Like every day.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I have incredible anxiety, so I'm actually getting a lot better at it because I've been more proactive about like my health, like going to the doctor and stuff. But for years I would have like just generalized anxiety around health, and like any little like weird feeling in my body, I was like, that's cancer, or I'm having a heart attack right now, or just, I mean, I have like panic attacks too. I'm a lot less now. I'm again being proactive about it, but I would have a lot of struggle back and forth about like knowing that I was having a panic attack and knowing that that's what it was, but still having like being worried that it's nope, this one actually is a heart attack, He's
a hyper aware king.
Yeah, it was tough, but I do think about it a lot in terms of just like I'm reframing it now, whereas for a long time I was like, this is literally right around the corner. Like I could die any moment.
Wow.
And then now I'm thinking about it more of like, I'm just I'm actually pretty young and healthy, and I think that's a better.
People in their 30s keep telling me I'm a baby, and that has really been helping me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is crazy when people in their 20s are like, oh God, are all like fidgety about life. And I'm like, you're fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone was like 25 I was talking to this week, and they were like worried about their place in comedy. And I'm like, just fucking keep going. Stop worrying so much and just, you'll be fine. But yeah, I've pushed out the horizon of my like, and I'm not that worried about it right now because it's more like I feel I've gotten like literally the numbers and everything, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually okay.
That is interesting. I actually haven't thought much about how if you trace most anxiety, it is death. Like my anxiety is all, I love my life so much and I love everyone in it, and I truly love life. There's so much I want to do. That's all my anxiety is. I feel like there's not enough time in the day.
Right.
I resent the fact that I have to sleep, and I think it's actually an anxiety about like the end is inevitable.
Yeah. You're just trying to. But
I do want to be immortal.
Yeah.
But also, life is full of suffering.
So what you're telling us is you have a stable relationship with death.
Well, I've been trying to read more about it because it is comforting just to remember, like, oh yeah, we're gonna die. It's a very perspective shifting.
Well,
what
it's
is
like
it? Memento mori.
Memento mori. I had a friend who got that tattooed on him when I was in like high school.
Oh,
and
so
I was
he's
like,
a douchebag.
Yeah. He's a sweet guy, but I thought it was a bit much at the time, and I kind of still do. But I do think it is an important thing to like. I don't think you should be terrified. I think that you should, like, when people say that you should think about it, they're talking about like contemplate it, like think about how, you know, the cycle of life and death, and like all your worries and everything. That part is really helpful, actually. Like everything that you're ever worried about is not going to matter at some point. And but I don't really use it for that. I really just the way I think about that more is like everything that I've ever been worried about, I dealt with. That's what I remind myself when I'm really worried about something now. But you could use, you know, the end as that as well.
The Stoics,
to each their own.
The Stoics like to talk about memento mori a lot.
Yeah, that's where it
But
comes
actually,
from.
thinking about, I think, death and just like the cycles of life, birth and death are very, very, very related to sustainability, because that's all like you can learn a lot about that just from like gardening. It's a huge part of life, and capitalism actually, I think, really operates as if we're immortal and there are infinite resources, and we live in a boundless world, and it's, I think, important. Death is a good restriction reminder.
Well, when it was conceptualized, we did. Like when capitalism was like thought up, the world was kind of boundless. Like they literally didn't know what was on the other side of the ocean. Turns out it was an entire array of civilizations, and they were like, yeah, no, this is a blank slate. But it was like, you know, the amount of, they couldn't possibly conceptualize that we would run out of something, like run out of water. They're like, what? What are you talking about? You know? Because they just saw endless everything. But yeah, we've run up against the end of our resources, obviously.
So
and are catapulting towards that. So why are cemeteries bad?
Okay, so why do you think they're bad, Tyler?
I think, I'm guessing, but you tipped your hand a little bit with the golf courses thing. Is it just a use of space, that problem? So
it's land use is a huge issue. There are other issues that I hadn't really thought about, like like wildlife, basically not creating habitat for wildlife. They're very curated areas. Cemeteries were actually in most cities like the first big public parks, so they do provide a lot of green space. But in terms of where we're at with population and human civilization, they're not like the best use of space.
Okay.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the history of cemeteries, believe it or not, what the eco-friendly alternatives are, the issues with those, as there usually are issues with those, what we're doing. Okay, so basing this all around some news that in the Homer Township in Illinois, they have proposed a cemetery that would include natural eco-friendly burials with no caskets, and residents are very concerned about private water wells being contaminated and the drinking supply.
Okay. So
according to the Cemeteries Project website, the Muslim Ummah Cemetery would be built on 40 acres and could accommodate 24,000 graves, and would be open to all Muslims who want to be buried there. The burials will be natural and environmentally friendly. The bodies would not be embalmed. There would be no need for a traditional cement liner or casket. And the deceased body would be wrapped in a biodegradable shroud and placed directly into the earth in compliance with the practices of Sunnah or traditional Islamic customs. So
And the residents, and this is in Homer Township.
Yeah.
Where is that, close to Chicago?
Yeah, it's in the region.
Okay. And the residents around there that aren't involved with this are having a problem, and they're worried about water.
Yeah, so they think, so the general conclusion is that the cemetery would have little risk on the ground to the groundwater, and
this is from this is the like scientific side.
Yeah, like
not just speculation.
Yeah, they're like, we think it seems fine intuitively based on my intuition. But some residents have cited studies done by scientists in the United Kingdom that say you should limit groundwater, or no, you should limit human. Wait, hold on.
Glad you're prepared, Lucia.
That human burial should not be done within 250 meters, about 820 feet of any well where water is intended for human consumption or used in food production.
Okay.
A study by the World Health Organization concluded that the pollution potential from cemeteries is present, but in a well-managed cemetery with suitable soil conditions and drainage arrangements, the risk is probably slight. So it would probably be fine.
Yeah.
But so this is like going to be a bigger conversation as people are trying to create better land use strategies for cemeteries.
Right.
There's a reason we embalm bodies and put them in caskets. And
is it more about protecting the environment around it, or is it more about preserving the body, like for like people's peace of mind, like whatever relation you have to them, like my grandfather's not wasting away? Is it more of that?
Good question.
I love when we come up against the edge of your research.
I love when we do that within 5 minutes of me having started an episode.
Sorry, my questions are too good.
It's for both.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's like, I think that a big problem is people's like conception and like worry about wasting away, and it's like, it's not you
I can't
anymore.
wait to waste away. Put my bones in the ground.
Yeah. I also don't believe you, by the way. You all this shit about, I'm gonna be so peaceful. You're gonna be squirming. You're gonna be like, no, I want to play softball again. Don't believe you that you're this peaceful, because like 2 weeks ago you were like, yeah, I'm really over this breakup thing, and then now today in the elevator, I really think I'm actually starting to process this now by writing a joke about it.
I'm very at peace with the cycle of death and life.
Gritting teeth.
Yeah, no, I'm actually not sure how much of this is a front.
That's okay. It's all. I don't believe anyone either way most of the time.
I don't
about
think
this.
You can know how at peace you are with death until you are at its doorstep.
Yeah,
I am at its doorstep all the time because I bike around the city of Chicago. Yeah. I'm constantly almost being hit by a car.
That's terrifying.
Okay, so the word cemetery has its origins in the Greek word for sleeping place and is land meant for burial. It was originally applied to the Roman catacombs. And like I said earlier, cemeteries were in many ways the first public parks and accessible green spaces. And they bring together disparate states of life and death, nature, and culture.
So now you're for them.
Yeah.
This is like you're a tour guide of the catacombs.
So here's a brief overview of the history of cemeteries. So prehistoric burial sites. The earliest evidence of intentional burial comes from Neanderthal sites, suggesting that early humans had a concept of life after death. Prehistoric burial sites were often communal and included various burial practices.
What do you think about that? Life after death. What do you believe?
I mean, what do you think I believe?
I think that you believe something like your spirit goes on or something.
No, I definitely think that something happens. I've had enough spooky experiences with close people who have died. I've had a lot of young death. Go on. Okay. I've had quite a few friends.
What's spooky part?
So I had 3 friends from high school die. Or no, 2 friends from high school die, and then one my step cousin died in a really like tragic way, and then right after my grandpa died, just stuff happening like right after my grandpa died, there was a radio in the room where he was staying, and it only ever played smooth jazz. And then like 5 minutes after he died, his favorite song of all time was Moon River, and Moon River started playing. Like,
wow.
Yeah. And
That's
just
crazy.
stuff like that where I'm like, I think there's something. I think but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know at
I
all.
like to think that there's I feel like we reincarnate, and I hope not, because I don't want to have to come back. But
because your life is so perfect now.
my life is so perfect, but I think I'm alive in an absolutely wonderful time, and
yeah.
I have a blessed human life, and you don't have a choice. I don't know what I would come back as,
Yeah.
or what the state of the earth would be like.
Yeah.
But
It's not improving.
But I like to think that there is something, and it's more blissful. It's a more blissful spiritual experience.
Yeah.
But I don't have any sort of certainty around that.
Right.
I feel like something happens.
Right.
You go somewhere. And also because we've been doing this for all of human history. And and all world religions have some sort of transferring the spirit on.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the traditions too are about putting you back into being a part of just of like the world, you know? Like I think that that's like part of the symbolism of like burial is like you're in the earth now. Like you're a part of the world again. You don't have to worry about being you anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like you just get to just kind of like just like let go of everything. Like that's kind of my sort of weird concept of it, is that you just kind of like sink back into like existence.
You go like that.
You go like this. And you don't have to
like
like
in Harry Potter when they go into the
yeah. Yep, exactly like that. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I think that you just kind of like don't have to worry about being you anymore.
Yeah, I definitely think the personality disappears. I think
Yeah.
the personality and ego
God.
and everything that is most of this. I mean, a more grounded perspective that I could have is informed by just like ecology and principles of sustainability, which is like if you look at a garden energy is neither created nor destroyed. Like everything goes back in to something.
Yeah.
Even compost. I mean,
Yeah.
Look at compost.
Look at compost.
Nothing disappears. It's hard for
Yeah.
me to believe that you just die and then it's blackness. You at least become a tree.
It's not blackness because you're not there to perceive blackness. Like you're not there with your eyes closed forever. You know, you're not anymore. That's my concept of it. I don't know, but that's what I think, is that you just aren't anymore.
Yeah.
So there's no experience of anything. And I don't think that that's a bad thing, you know?
Yeah.
So you're not around, like, it's not that weird between dreaming and not. Are you awake? Are you asleep? Are you dreaming? I think that a lot of people's concept of death is that, like, you're in this weird, but I just think you aren't anything anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's absolutely inconceivable.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the beauty of the mystery of life.
Yeah, it is fucking
life
crazy.
Life is a mystery.
It's
I love
insane. It's weird to actively think about. I actually don't think about it like this very often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Imagine if we talked about it every single day.
That's all of our podcast. Every episode we just
remember death.
Hey, here's a comedy podcast. It's about death every time. Oh, great. That sounds funny. That sounds really hilarious.
But we'll give you some action items. Okay, so in ancient Egypt, They, of course, are well known for their elaborate burial practices.
That's what we should do. Just build everyone a pyramid. If you really want to worry about using up space.
Bring back the pyramids because that labor was very pro-human. Okay, so they constructed monumental tombs such as pyramids to house the bodies of pharaohs and nobles. These tombs contain not only the deceased but also numerous offerings and treasures to accompany them into the afterlife. Ancient Greece and Rome, those civilizations practiced burial, although cremation became more prevalent in later Roman times. Cemeteries known as necropolises, I'm guessing I'm saying that wrong. Necropolises were located outside city walls and often included burial chambers. And then with the rise of Christianity in the Roman Empire, burial practices changed and Christians favored burial rather than cremation, and cemeteries were established near churches.
Okay.
And these early Christian burial sites became known as churchyards. And so this is where it starts getting important environmentally, because whenever floods with growing urbanizations, the overcrowding of churchyards became an issue. So during the Middle Ages, churchyards continued to be the primary burial places. Tombstones and elaborate memorials became more common, reflecting the social status of the deceased. With growing urbanization, overcrowding in churchyards became an issue, leading to the establishment of larger cemeteries outside city limits.
Yeah. It is crazy when you go walk around a cemetery or, drive past one, and then there's a really elaborate like tombstone things. It's like a monument to them. That is a little much.
It's a little much.
Like, what are we doing here?
I know. It's like, okay, you're rich.
Yeah. I just want people to know that I was rich when I'm dead. I know I'm in the same place as everyone, but I do want you to know that I made some good deals.
You should watch the most recent episode of Succession because it's very cemetery based.
Ooh. Yeah,
actually, it's all about this.
Yeah.
Okay. Modern cemetery development. In the 19th century, there was a significant shift in cemetery design and management. The rural cemetery movement originated in the United States and was established with the Mount Auburn Cemetery in 1831 in Massachusetts. And it emphasized creating park-like settings with landscaped gardens and ornate monuments. And then that spread worldwide. And those are not affiliated with churches, obviously. I mean, there are some little... maybe.
Have you ever been to like a military one, like Arlington or anything?
No, I don't think I have.
It's wild. It's because it's all the same. So it's very different than what we were just talking about of like one really big one and then one's just a stone. Like they're all the little crosses. My grandpa's in a military one in Florida, and it's not crosses. I don't remember. I haven't been in a long time, but it's every single one is exactly the same, and it's like rolling hills. And it's actually nice. It is.
Yeah, they are serene. My dad loves going for runs through cemeteries.
That's morbid and weird.
I know. My dad loves cemeteries. He's a big cemetery
memento
guy.
Mori.
Yeah, memento mori.
But if that's the only part
exercising in a cemetery is pretty...
Yeah, not me.
That's getting...
Not me. Look at me. Look what I can do
not
still.
Me. I'm in my sanctuary of equinox.
Like, no, that is funny. Like it running through a cemetery, like you're showing off to all the...
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, Tyler's got a new joke.
They can't. I can't. Oh, you can't use your body anymore. Well, look what I can do still.
Oh, skeleton. Looking weak as hell. No joints. Looking bitch.
Clickety clackety, bitch. Look at the life in my veins.
Okay, so before 1831, America had no cemeteries as we know them. People were buried, but graveyards as we know them didn't exist. Mm-hmm. So like I said, that one burial ground in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is Mount Auburn, started the movement, this rural cemetery movement. Right. And it's renowned for its picturesque setting and beautiful gardens. And there are a lot of prominent figures from American history there. So in Europe, burial was always under the strict control of the church. And initially, burials were in mass graves until they decomposed, and then the bones were removed to ossuaries along the walls of the cemetery or under the floor within the church. People of importance were often
mass graves?
Yeah, within the church itself with full stone inscriptions, which like they do, like the like when kings and queens are buried.
Uh-huh.
Those of higher influence were buried on the east side of the church to face the rising sun as they went to the hereafter. The next best real estate was on the south side of the church. Indigents, unknown travelers, undesirables, and stillborn babies, among others, were buried on the north side.
Oh my God.
Those who could afford a headstone were usually wealthier.
Undesirables.
Yeah.
That's such a brutal catch-all term. That's so sad, dude.
know.
If you just realize one day that you're an undesirable, just in general, we don't desire you.
Yeah, then you're hoping there's a next life.
yeah, you're hoping for the love of God. I mean, not being a royalty back then must have been fucking brutal.
Yeah.
God.
Thank God now we're all royalty in
Thank
America.
God now we're all so equal.
Yeah. So in the early 1800s, Europe had a dramatic increase in population, and many churchyard burials
What century?
1800s.
Yeah.
Were gradually outlawed due to the overcrowding and recurring infectious diseases near the cemeteries. A flood was often disastrous, washing out layers of coffins and bodies into the surrounding neighborhood.
That's like you getting just all your friends and family just.
Oh, there's Lucia. In some areas, skeletons were exhumed.
She's a comedian. I know her.
Skeletons were exhumed and moved to catacombs or ossuaries. I think that's how you say it. Ossuaries to allow for more burials. Ossuar. In the 18th century France, approximately 6 million skeletons were relocated to the catacombs of Paris.
God.
And then, so like I've said a few times, in order to fix all these things, cemeteries started to move to the outer limits of cities.
Right.
So in the 1830s, when the rural cemetery movement was evolving, having a picnic in the local cemetery became a popular thing to do. And cemeteries were the closest things that a lot of people had to parks.
Right. It's the only non-industrial cities kind of space.
Mm-hmm. And it was a tranquil setting, and elaborate entrance gates in cemeteries are a symbolic way to separate the living from the dead and to make you think about how you're entering a tranquil meditative space with your loved ones and your enemies.
That would be such a Do you have any enemies whose graves you visit?
No, I don't visit a lot of graves in general.
You don't make a habit of it?
No.
You don't go for runs with your dad?
I don't have people buried nearby.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been to a cemetery in years. I had a lot of relatives when I was in my teens passed, and so now so I was at a lot of funerals, a lot of graveyards, so I think I lost the taste for it.
You're over it now?
Yeah, now that's old news for me.
Yeah, my mom used to make us go every single year right before Christmas Eve dinner to see my grandpas, and it was always like,
yeah. We're going to go do the thing again. Yeah.
Mom's going to cry for a second. And we're gonna go. But I know that's going to be me one day, maybe.
Yeah. That is a nice thing to do, but
it's a nice thing to do, but right when you're hungry. Going to a cemetery is like grocery shopping. Don't do it when you're hungry.
Can we eat first?
No, we're fasting like the Polish do for some reason to think about stuff.
You did have a weird upbringing. You definitely did.
Okay, so people interacted with death differently in the 19th and 20th centuries. In the 19th century, people would die at home often, and funerals would happen at home. So a middle-class house...
That is wild.
Isn't it? A middle-class house would typically have 2 parlors, a front parlor and a back parlor. The front parlor was a special formal room where you'd have major family rituals like marriages and funerals.
Oh, that's so sad to get married at home.
I know. Actually, I mean, if you got a nice little things,
that sucks. That sucks.
It is interesting that people we've really removed ourselves from death in our culture.
Oh yeah,
we do not. Well, because we're also so afraid of haunting. So it's you don't want someone to die in your house.
Are we? I'm not afraid of that at all.
I definitely am.
I'm not. I could not. That
house.
Thought would not enter my brain at all. I would just be like, it would be strange to have someone die in your house, but like if someone died in this apartment, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
it would
I
creep
wouldn't give
me
a
out.
shit.
But that's because it's a thing, I think, where we try to put our dead in hospitals.
Yeah, no, I mean that is
we
weird.
try not to deal with death.
Yeah, that sucks to die in a fucking hospital though.
Yeah.
To be in because every time I'm in a hospital, I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And to be in a hospital and be like, I'm never leaving, I can't imagine that. That would be so horrific. But a lot of my family have gone in hospice, which is nice.
Which is at home, right?
It can be either at home or they do, like they have centers.
Hospital, yeah.
But it's not at a hospital. I'm sure some are connected to hospitals. I think my
grandma had
but
hospice at like a nursing home.
Yeah, basically like that. And they just do everything to make them comfortable, and you can go visit and everything. But yeah, it's just like this is the end of the road here. Yeah. But let's make it nice, you know. Yeah. let's make them comfortable.
But let's have a stranger watching over you.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Keith Egner's book Cemeteries, really left nothing to the imagination there. He talks about the design of cemeteries, where burial isn't just about celebrating the dead, it's about containing the dead, keeping them out of the realm of the living, which is why cemeteries were removed from cities. We would like to go into their world when it's convenient for us. And yeah, they're designed to intentionally make you feel like you're leaving the mundane world behind, and they're designed in such an elaborate way that it's like a city for the dead.
Okay.
So back to the concept of parks. The great rural cemeteries were built at a time, like I said, when there weren't many public parks, or art museums or botanical gardens in major American cities. And then you had these large pieces of ground with beautiful sculptures and art, and people would flock there for picnics, hunting, shooting, and carriage racing right over all those skeletons. These places became so popular that not only were guidebooks issued to guide visitors, but also...
I'll race you to Grandpa.
So that's the history of cemeteries. Sort of interesting. Hadn't thought much about that.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that we would just do it the most convenient place, and then, oh shit, these bodies are piling up and contaminating everything. We got to move this to the rural places. Like, yeah. Makes perfect sense. So even with having removed them from cities, there's still major land use issues. So they require a significant amount of land for burial plots, which can lead to the loss of natural habitats, deforestation, and disruption of ecosystems. Mm-hmm. There's a growing concern about the loss of green space due to cemetery expansion, groundwater contamination. Traditional burial practices involve embalming, which often includes the toxic use of chemicals such as formaldehyde. And over time, those chemicals can leach into the soil and potentially contaminate groundwater sources. Right. So that's like what's actually contaminating. It's not just the decomposition. It's the chemicals. It's tons of chemicals. Right. Because they're just soaked in formaldehyde. Yeah. Ugh. God. Gross. And also, I mean, I'm guessing... Well, it depends what kind of... I'm making this up, so fact check one day. But also, like, the coffins we use aren't just pure wood either. They're, they're varnished and stuff. Okay. I loved watching you. She looked at me like for help for a second, and I was like, nope. You left me in the dust. You started... You absolutely just... They're not pure wood, and I'm like... You watched me not make that train. I'm sprinting for the train. Yeah, here. And all I had to, like the elevator, like I could have just gone like this, and I was like, nope, you're gonna have to catch the next one. Okay, resource consumption is an issue. The maintenance of lawns, landscaping, and infrastructure within cemeteries require resources like water, fertilizers, and energy, along with heavy machinery for maintenance. It would be so sad to go to the cemetery to see your loved one and it's just hasn't been mowed. It's just like overgrown, and that's how I'd like it. Ugh. It'd be sad. Non-biodegradable materials. Many burial practices involve the use of non-biodegradable materials such as concrete burial vaults or tombstones made of non-eco-friendly materials like granite or marble.
These materials contribute to waste generation and can have a lasting impact on the environment.
Why is a rock a problem to be there? I don't get that.
I think it's more the sourcing of them. When everybody, every single human needs a giant marble tomb.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Embodied energy. The production of materials used in cemetery infrastructure, such as concrete or metal, requires energy. And lack of biodiversity. So this is a lot like the golf courses. Manicured lawns and limited vegetation in traditional cemeteries do not provide diverse habitats for wildlife. And this can negatively impact local biodiversity, including insects, birds, and other small animals. So a lot of people think that cremation is environmentally friendly, but it also has some harmful impacts. So energy consumption. It requires...
It's all good news on this podcast.
It requires a significant amount of energy to reach the necessary temperatures for the process. The burning of fossil fuels such as natural gas or propane is commonly used to generate the high heat required. It also contributes to carbon dioxide emissions.
How about this too? Like when all these people are buried and they're like embalmed and they're not biodegrading because they're in this thing. That's like, like you said, energy is not created or destroyed, but that's a lot of like pent up potential. Like that's a lot of carbon that is not being put back into the ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a lot. If you just were buried as is, you're gonna biodegrade. And the world is gonna take back all the stuff that makes you.
Why are we embalming people? Stop that.
Well, that's the thing is I think people want...
It's like giving someone Botox when they're dead. Stop. Just let it disappear.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is like people want to go like grandpa is in there and he's not. He's not, dude. But so yeah, I think that's something that I think is just the silly part of it, like that, like wanting to preserve a person's body like as if it's preserving them. Like I think that you obviously want to treat it with respect, treat the person's like vessel with like respect, and I think the ritual around like burying someone or doing these ceremonies is good for the people that are still living.
Supports the grieving process.
Yeah, but I think this like silly. I think this preservation thing is silly.
Yeah, well, that's why so many cultures burn the bodies on pyres. Bring that back.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Push you out and then just shoot a fucking flaming arrow.
Viking
funeral. That's sick.
Okay,
is that what you want?
Yeah.
You want that, or just literally just toss you?
No, I think I want to become a tree or something. We'll talk more about that. Yeah. Okay, so a few more issues with cremation that you haven't thought about. Air pollution. The combustion process during cremation releases various emissions, including carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, and volatile organic compounds. And while modern crematoriums employ filtration systems to minimize emissions, some pollutants may still be released into the atmosphere. I didn't think about or know about this. Mercury emissions. Dental amalgam fillings, which contain mercury, can contribute to mercury emissions during cremation.
I don't like that there's mercury in fillings.
I know. Hello, talking about death. Mercury vapor can be released into the air when dental amalgam is heated, posing a risk to air quality.
Ugh.
And then non-biodegradable materials, like the use of non-eco-friendly urns, and the heat island effect. Crematoriums often produce excess heat during the cremation process, which can contribute to the heat island effect in urban areas.
Heat island effect?
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah. So
I don't know what that is.
Because there's so much concrete and materials that don't absorb heat like in the ground, cities are a lot hotter.
Right.
So that's why like areas of the city that have more tree canopy coverage are cooler.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah. Like we talked about in our other episode.
Yep. Memory.
About when trees are racist.
Memory is a beautiful part of being a human. So to mitigate the environmental impact of cremation, here are some things that could be done. Eco-friendly cremation technologies are available, like electric cremation or high-efficiency cremators. Carbon offsetting. Some funeral homes offer carbon offset programs. And there are alternative cremation methods such as aquamation, water cremation, which we're going to talk about.
That I've never heard of.
Yeah, so aquamation which is also called alkaline hydrolysis or water cremation, is an alternative to the traditional style. It uses water, heat, and alkaline chemicals to accelerate the natural decomposition process, and it's considered more environmentally friendly. And it doesn't produce emissions or release harmful chemicals. You could also have a natural burial.
It's done by the fucking characters in Breaking Bad. They just, that's like, yeah, that's some serial killer shit. Like, ugh. Just dissolving you.
I don't like the term aquamation for some reason.
I don't either. It's like dignitized.
Yeah. Tune in for more of my comedy to learn what that means.
Yeah.
So there's natural burials, also known as a green burial, and it is when the body is interred in a biodegradable coffin or shroud without embalming. And the burial site is often in a designated natural or woodland area, allowing for the decomposition of the body to occur naturally and contribute to the surrounding ecosystem.
That's what that sounds good to me.
That makes the most sense. And markers can be simple and natural.
Would that be hard to do for everybody though, right?
That's what I was wondering. If like everyone could do that.
Do that at scale sounds difficult.
Cremation with eco-friendly urns. That's sort of self-explanatory. Mm-hmm. Memorial reefs are artificial structures made from environmentally safe materials that incorporate cremated remains. These reefs are placed in oceans or bodies of water to create new marine habitats.
That's cool too.
Yeah. Memorial forests are dedicated areas where cremated remains can be scattered or buried, allowing them to contribute to the growth of trees and the overall health of the forest. I like that one. Mm-hmm. And then home funerals and natural home burials. In some areas, these are legal options.
Yeah, that's. I was watching some. There's this show on YouTube called Soft White Underbelly, and he interviews like a bunch of people with addictions and like all this like like sort of the fringes of society, the people that like we forget about, a lot of homeless people and stuff. And there was this like family in like West Virginia and like the mountains, and they were like inbred, like they were all had like various disabilities, and they were like, oh yeah, they were telling them about some family member, and then they just go, oh, he's right there. And they just like point over, and it's just a like a rectangle that you could tell was like newer soil, and they're like, yeah, he's right there. And they just say, hey, they just buried him on the property.
How do we feel about that? Just,
I mean,
a family home.
I don't care. Like, they do what you want. It's not gonna do anything. Why would I have an opinion on it, really? Like what they, but I mean, you wouldn't be able to do that in like a suburban neighborhood.
Yeah, at least not. You couldn't tell anyone.
No, but. Yeah, I can understand why it's illegal, because then there's questions as to, did they just die, or did you murder this person and just bury them in your backyard?
Hey, can I get a permit to just bury someone who died naturally?
Yeah, you're down at City Hall. Hi, could I have a permit to bury someone that definitely died on their own?
Natural causes?
Yeah, my wife died of old age at 27. Can I get a permit to bury her in the back? We're like, yeah, well, you just got to fill out all these forms, but
like, this is Oak Park, Illinois. No. So this is my favorite option is human compost.
Of course it is. Yeah.
Also known as human recomposition. The body is gently placed in a vessel.
Thank God it's being gently, not just like, fucking get in there.
Along with a mixture of organic materials like wood chips, straw, and other carbon-rich materials. And then over the span of several weeks, natural decomposition takes place. And it's a whole process. I don't think anyone really cares that much about what the process is. And then the final product is referred to as human compost. And families can keep it as a personal memorial or donate it for use in ecological restoration projects. And I asked ChatGPT to write a joke about human compost.
Okay.
I said, please write a joke about human compost. And ChatGPT said, sure, here's a lighthearted joke about human compost. Why did the environmentally conscious person choose human composting? Because they wanted to leave a sustainable impression even after they're pushing up daisies. So our jobs are safe for now.
So that's a sentence. Yeah. That's not a joke. But hey, look, this ChatGPT thing is the future. It's
only getting smarter. By asking it to write that joke, I've made it better already. This is ChatGPT open micing 6 months.
Right. Yeah. It's very funny for you to be. It's like you've got such a breadth of like you're like in the dirt with this composting stuff, and then you're like using the most like technologically advanced piece of a like thing to write your script about it. It's just kind of throwing me for a loop. I don't know. It's a weird juxtaposition.
I'm having fun with ChatGPT as long as it's not murdering people yet. So that was it.
Applies for a permit to bury all of us.
What it has learned from our podcast.
Can I bury every human in their own backyard? I just wanted to make sure that's okay with the city.
So that's Cemeteries. That was a fun one.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of those like more sustainable options sound more realistic as well. Like more like
they seem more cost effective.
Definitely that. That's another thing entirely that we didn't really touch on is how expensive it is. It's fucking very expensive to just get buried. It's like, just toss me in the river, dude.
I'm not putting money aside for that. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm spending all my money.
I'm barely keeping myself alive with the money I have.
Yeah. We can barely pay our producer, so.
Shout out Tyler. Okay, Tyler K.
No, but yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where something has to change. Like there's just no way. When I see a cemetery in a city, like there's that giant cemetery up north here.
Yeah, I passed it on my way.
It's full. Like,
yeah,
so
it's under construction right now. Graceland.
There's just nothing. There's nowhere to go.
Or Rose Hill. Can't remember.
Yeah. Well, there's just nowhere to go. So there's something is going to have to change. So very interesting. I'm more for changing that. If we can just get rid of those, get rid of all these cemeteries, can we keep golf courses? Yeah.
Interesting.
For the love of God.
Interesting alternative.
Yeah. Save our golf courses.
Turn golf courses into cemeteries.
I'm fine with that too, as long as they don't, you're not going into the bunker and you just, like a guy's half his face starts showing like through the sand.
You're really not scared of ghosts, huh?
No, I'm not scared of ghosts at all. I don't really. I mean, I don't know, but I also I don't have any experience with ghosts. Like, I know people have. That's really kind of the thing that is if someone has a personal experience, like with a ghost, quote unquote, you're never going to convince them otherwise. Yeah. And I understand that, but I just have none of that personally, and I don't.
I believe in it too much that I don't want to. I don't want to see one ever. Yeah. I believe, and I don't like this, and I don't like it. So stay away. You're
actually scared. You're a little shook right now.
The only experience I've had personally with like ghost stuff is, well, first of all, I've heard a lot of people, so I just believe other people's experiences. But
Not me. I don't believe anyone's experience.
In my grandma's house, my grandma and grandpa's house. Well, I never met my grandpa. He was a prisoner of war in World War II. Not a fun guy.
Can you believe his sense of humor was a little jaded after that?
And so he died in my mom's childhood home, and then my grandma didn't die there, but so I was there. All their old stuff is still there, and their basement's super creepy. Like, there are like canned goods that my grandma made like in the 80s that are still down there that you would die if you ate. Yeah. And I was down there messing around.
Someone could take care of that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the story is that you guys haven't cleaned up your grandpa's house
little
in
by
30
little,
years?
little by little. So anyway, I was down there once because I was visiting my aunt, and I was sending like a joke video to my siblings, and I was like, Grandpa, where are you? And then I put it at a corner, and like all the lights were out, and on camera I was like, Grandpa, and like this giant white orb came at the camera, and I got this chill over my entire body and was like really freaked out. Yeah. And then
do you have this video?
No, I deleted it. It scared me too much.
Okay, so
I didn't want it on my phone.
There's a giant white orb?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Like as I said, Grandpa, this like giant, you know what an orb is? It's like when you take a photo and there's a little white, or we'll Google it.
Okay.
Orbs are a thing. They show up in cemeteries a lot. Shut up, Tyler K.
So I'm on his side. I mean, he doesn't believe that your grandpa was light after that. Like,
I think it was. I was literally like, Grandpa, and then it was like, and it sent chills down my spine for the rest of the day.
On the phone, you saw this, or in the life, in the phone.
In the phone.
Okay.
Because all the lights were off.
Okay. I mean, look, that's your experience. I'm not gonna.
Felt creepy to me,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying I saw a ghost. But that's just it did not make me feel good.
Right.
And I said, if this is the most, and it's a member of my family.
Did you run up the stairs and get out of there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds scary. I don't know. I had a friend who his like stepdad was like an alcoholic. He would drink all day after work, and like he would sit in front of the couch, like on the floor, and just drink beer and watch TV. And his sister came home one day, and they'd been like talking to him about this. Like his doctor was like, "You gotta stop drinking so much. Like you're gonna." It's like an older guy, and he wasn't stopping, whatever. And so he was sitting there one day, and his sister came home, and walked in, and like her room was to the right, but she like glanced left and looked at him, and she like did a double take and saw like big black like a dementor like standing over him basically, and she was like, "Hey," and he like turned, and when he like turned his head, it like dissipated or something, but it fucking freaked her out. And like, so you know,
yeah,
I don't believe that.
We don't know.
I also don't believe that.
Also don't know.
But I don't know.
We also don't know.
I don't know.
So that's our ghost story segment.
Send in your ghost stories.
This would have probably been good for Halloween, but I was too excited. I want to do it now.
We could save it. I mean, but all right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned.
Tell 3 friends about the podcast. I go to my website for tickets.
Me too.
I think this will be after that, but Milwaukee, Tampa, Columbus, Chicago.
Unless it's October.
Cincinnati, more Florida stuff. So go to my website and get tickets. And we'll see you out there on the road, baby.
Thank
you. Bye.
What a way.